After the greatest catastrophe in human history, World War II, two superpowers emerged on the scene: the United States and the Soviet Union. Their confrontation went down in history as the Cold War and reached its peak by 1962, when the world was one step away from nuclear war because of the Caribbean crisis. One element of the confrontation between the two nations was also the chessboard. In 1959, there was a candidates tournament in which the spotlight was on two prodigies: 22-year-old Mikhail Tal of the USSR and 16-year-old Bobby Fischer of the United States, the world's youngest Grandmaster. And now we'll see how, in this oppressive atmosphere of confrontation between the two countries, Mikhail Tal decided to pull a stunt on the young Bobby Fischer right on the first move. Greetings, dear chess fans and experts. This is Feedmaster Max Omerev with you. And in this difficult time, nothing is better than to return to the lessons of the past. The Candidates Tournament of 1959 took place under the dictation of Soviet chess players, and in the end, they took the first 4 places. The winner of that tournament was Mikhail Tal, but Bobby Fischer didn't come there to train. He really wanted to win. Eyewitnesses said that during the tournament, he lived with and for chess. Nothing else existed for him. Sometimes at night, he would wake up his second, Larson, for chess game analysis. And his only entertainment was reading Tarzan and listening to jazz on the radio. As we can see, Fischer loved good music, but his focus was precisely on winning the tournament. Still, the Soviets showed him that he was not yet ready for such a war. For example, Tigran Petrosyan realized already in the second round that Fischer was showing a clear lack of confidence against the Caro-Kann defense. And this weak side of him was subsequently hid by the other participants in the tournament. Fischer had several unpleasant defeats in the Caro-Kann defense, and he was to play against Mikhail Tal, the leader of the tournament in the hope of Soviet chess. It was an extremely crucial meeting. Right after the first move e4, Tal decided to pull a stunt on Bobby. He first moved a pawn to c6, but then he eventually played c5. Here's what Fischer himself said about it.
This reminds me of a funny incident. In the same tournament, I was playing Tal, and everybody was playing the Caro-Kann against me. Because I was playing a variation that they thought was bad, I had bad results. Yes. So I played e4 against Tal, pawn to king4 against Tal, and Tal played pawn here. And he held it some seconds, and then he went to c5.
Now let's see how this trick affected Bobby's well-being, his mental state. This is the Nadyar variation of the Sicilian defense. After a6, the bishop c4 brings his bishop to this diagonal, presses the point f7, so black plays e6 against the bishop. The bishop in advance moves away from b5, and here Fischer plays quite aggressively. f4 immediately wants to loosen this mini fortress to extend the bishop's diagonal. The main continuation is short castling, and here I'll show you a little idea for white, so you can use it in your game. For example, if black plays bishop e7, and after rook e1 inaccurately flanks their other bishop playing bishop b7, they immediately get under serious pressure. The bishop beats e6. After fe, knight beats e6, forking the queen and the g7 pawn. Here we got 3 pawns for a piece, plus white has a very powerful attack, 1 position. Of course, Mikhail wouldn't fall for that. But I can't be so sure, because after f4, he turned on greedy mode. He plays b4 to take down the knight, and the pawn was left defenseless. After knight a4, he takes away the pawn, but this decision is extremely controversial. Black is behind in development. They have only 1 piece in the game. It is dangerous to capture the pawn. Remember, it is extremely dangerous to capture the pawn in Sozin's variation of the Sicilian defense. It was better to play bishop b7. After the capture, Fischer immediately increases his pressure. He castles, g6, prophylaxis against f5, but young Bobby is unstoppable. He plays f5. And after gf, the real military operation begins. Knight beats f5. Sacrifice of the knight in order to get to the enemy monarch quickly. But what do we do now? If we capture this knight, then queen d5 will follow with an attack on both the checkmate and the rook. And in case of rook a7, there's an elementary fork. Queen d4. Both rooks hang, and as a result, black remains even without material. So Mikhail Tal plays rook g8, takes rook out from under this attack, plus potentially prepares contour strike on the square g2, but follows bishop d5. Fischer decided to destroy, just to smash his opponent, and Mikhail Tal again refuses handouts. Plays rook a7. But if we capture this bishop, then after queen d5, bishop f5 for example, this could be a possible variation. f5 captured, mate is on, rook is in danger, knight is in danger. Too much of everything. Approximately such variation could have happened. And as a result, white has an extra pawn plus serious initiative. So after bishop b5, rook a7 was played and bishop hit e4. But here ef followed. It's time to take the knight. Bishop f5 and the rook joined the defense, rook e7. He tries to repel the enemy onslaught by all means. Bishop c8, exchange. And here Fischer did not realize that black had their own counter ideas. He should have taken care of his guys, who went to the front. He should have supported them a little bit by playing c3, protecting the knight, and plus open additional supply routes on the c-file. On queen c6, we can safely play rook f2. There's no mate threat, the knight is safe because the queen protects it. Everything is fine. And then we start the counteroffensive on the c-file. But instead, Fischer plays bishop f4 attacking the pawn. He does not spare his fighters, because after queen c6, the knight has nothing to do but fall. It may fall as a hero, but this does not make it easier. Queen f3, he has to defend against mate. The knight captured, bishop hits d6. However, white has initiative. They continue to attack. The knight is under attack, the rook is under attack, f7 hangs. Queen c6, the bishop hits b8. The knight is taken, but the queen b6 check follows. Everything has been planned. In the end, black still has an extra piece, but the king is in the center, as if he is alone with the enemy and there's only one defender. One brave fighter is guarding him. But white should have pulled up resources here too, and play rook a to e1. And here you cannot hit the rook because queen captures f7 will follow. Then we take e1, the e8 rook threatens. The rook still hangs. That's the end. So black here would have to look for some diplomatic ways to resolve the conflict. For example, king d8, rook d1, king c7. White could have taken another pawn. Well, in general, it turned out to be like this in the end. Here after the move queen b7, the exchange of queens is forced because mate is on. This is such an ending, in which the parties should come to a consensus and agree on a truce, shake hands with each other, understand that they were wrong, overreacted, and stop there. So there would be no further casualties. But instead, seized by the flame of excitement, young Bobby went on the attack, decided to finish off his opponent. He plays queen c6 check. But the opponent defends, rook d7, rook e1 check. But the bishop joins the defense. Gradually, resources are drawn to the defense of the main piece on this field. The rook hits f7. There are blows from all sides. Queen e6 check. If the king moves to e8, the queen hits g8 follows. White is short of a rook and a bishop. After king f8, white wins back one rook, but they are still without a piece. Queen d6 follows. It's already evident that white has few pieces left. The situation is critical, but queen b7 follows. He has so far covered g2 and is potentially looking at pawns. Rook g6, black strengthens. c3 is an attempt to create a passageway. a5, check. Queen c4 is a tightening move. d8 bishop follows. Also quite a strong move. There's an idea to play bishop c7 to attack h2. After cb-ab, white plays g3 to prevent this idea, but there's a forced exchange of queens. Queen c6 check. And the situation has already become critical without a queen. White is on the verge of disaster. They do not have enough fighters or enough pieces, and then followed. Mikhail Tal skillfully maneuvered, strengthened the position, moved the pawn to b3, then took b2 and did not give up his pawn on b3. Here's rook f3 check, rook c3. King c7, he drives the rook away. Bishop a1 makes way for the b pawn, and the game ends with a beautiful move of b2. You can't take the rook because of b1 queen would check. The bishop announces check to the king. So in this position, young Bobby congratulated the young Mikhail Tal. And soon Mikhail won that tournament, and then a year later he beat Mikhail Botvinnik in the World Championship match, thus becoming the youngest champion in the history of chess at that time. He was only 23 years old. But perhaps you might ask, how did the relationship between these two talents, the talents of opposing countries, develop? They were great friends. Fischer visited Mikhail Tal in the hospital, and they spoke very favorably of each other. And what can this teach us? That chess is beyond politics, that chess players really understand who creates all conflicts, who controls it, and how information wars work. That's why they keep their sober mind and promote peace in the world. This is the message I want to convey at the end of this video. May there be peace, may there be prudence and generosity in the hearts of all people. And I thank you for your attention. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give this video a like and don't forget to hit the bell button as well to make sure you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Also check our Telegram channel and Instagram, where we post only the latest news in the world of chess. Keep playing and studying chess. Take care.